The only thing harder than making a shoe of the year is making it better for the next year. This is the Novablast 4, and it's time to see if ASICS has made the right changes to keep this shoe on top. Yo, what's going on everybody? My name is Kofuzi and I'm a non-elite runner who reviews shoes here on YouTube. And today I want to talk to you guys about the ASICS Novablast 4. But before I give you my thoughts on this shoe, I do want to go over some disclosures. This is a pair of shoes that ASICS sent to me for the purpose of review, so I did not have to pay for these shoes. However, they're not paying me to make this video or to use the shoe, and they're not going to get a chance to preview any of my footage or my thoughts before you guys get a chance to see this video on YouTube. So with that disclosure out of the way, let's talk about the ASICS Novablast 4. And first, let's go over some specs on this shoe. There's a couple of big headline items when it comes to the specs though. The first thing is ASICS is changing the way that they are reporting stack height measurements. Previously, they were only giving us stack height measurements that were of the foam itself, not the insole and not how much taller the rubber on the outsole might make that shoe feel. Now they're including all of those things, which I believe is more in line with how the rest of the industry is reporting stack height. So this year, it looks like it's a much taller shoe at 41.5 millimeters of stack height in the heel, but it's actually the same height that it was last year. And also like last year, it's an 8 millimeter drop, giving us 33.5 millimeters of stack height in that forefoot. And the other big headline item is what that midsole is made out of. This year, they swapped out our FF Blast Plus midsole foam that we all came to know and love and switched it with FF Blast Plus Eco, which is a midsole foam that is made using 20% recycled bio content. This isn't the first time we've seen this foam from ASICS though. We've also seen it previously this year in the ASICS Nimbus 25. Moving to the outsole of the shoe, we have what ASICS is calling AHAR Low, which I do believe is the first time I'm encountering this outsole material. AHAR stands for ASICS High Abrasion Rubber, and the low signifies that it's a lower density of rubber. And if I'm understanding that correctly, that should mean that it's going to be a softer, a grippier material. Moving to the upper, ASICS tells us there is a softer material that's on this upper, but for me, it kind of feels exactly the same as the upper it felt last year, which isn't a bad thing because I felt like this was one of the more comfortable uppers I ran in all of 2022. So the fact that they didn't change it too much to me is a great thing. There is a little bit of a change to the material that's in the tongue, but it still stays nice and slim and out of the way, just how I like the tongue on my shoes to be. Now they have made some changes into the back area of the shoe, into the heel cup. There seems to be even more plush padding. I thought that the Novablast 3, if I could critique one thing about it, was that there was too much padding and it felt a little bit unnecessary. They've doubled down on that, maybe literally, and added an Achilles flare, which also has a bunch of padding on it as well. And this year we see a pull tab. Altogether, this adds a little bit to the weight of the shoe. Last year's shoe came in just under 9 ounces, which is a weight that I really liked. This year, it's just over 9 ounces at 9.1 ounces or 257 grams. All right, now that we've gone over the specs on this shoe, let's talk about what it was like to actually run in it. And let me say simply that this is a very fun shoe to run in. Without question, it's one of the best daily trainers to hit the market in 2023. Now, last year, when I got my hands on the Novablast 3, I instantly knew that it was going to be the shoe of the year because I enjoyed it that much. This year's shoe, it's a much closer question, and we'll get to that later in the video, but first, let me talk about what makes this shoe so great and so much fun to run in. And the primary reason why I enjoy this shoe so much is because of that FF Blast Plus Eco foam. When we saw it earlier in the Nimbus 25, it was a very cushioned, a very soft and spongy experience that was perfect for the type of shoe that the Nimbus is, a very comfortable and plush and relaxed max cushion shoe, recovery shoe. And a lot of those characteristics do come over into the Novablast 4, but it does it in a little bit more of a nimble package. A lot of that has to do with the way that the shoe's shaped, how much foam we're getting in the shoe, the fact that there isn't any pure gel in the shoe either. It all helps keep the shoe to be very lively, and it still very much carries that Novablast essence that we've loved since the shoe originally came out several years ago. The foam delivers a nice squishy experience, but there's also a lot of springiness to it too, so that way it's never gonna feel too muddled. The foam compresses and decompresses, which is something that I like to see and something that I enjoy feeling when I'm running in a daily trainer kind of shoe. The Novablast 4 is fun, it's lively, and it's comfortable, whether you're taking it out for a couple of miles or for a couple of hours. And in terms of the fit, I went true to size on this one, and that worked out really well for me. For those of you who have experience in the Novablast 3, I feel like it fits almost identically to the Novablast 3. So whatever size worked for you in that shoe is the size that I would recommend that you go with for this shoe. The upper is nice and comfortable. It's very soft. There's plenty of room for your foot, so I don't feel like my toes are getting scrunched in there. And there is all that plush cushion in the back, which is not necessary, but it is comfy. But I think the biggest thing for me that's holding this shoe back from being an instant shoe of the year winner or an instant best daily trainer of the year is kind of one of the best things about it, and it's that FF Blast Plus Eco Foam. I do really enjoy how comfortable the ride is, and I do really enjoy the fact that it is a product that is trying to reduce its carbon footprint. Those are all things that are very important to me. But when it comes to the performance of the shoe, I do feel like there is a difference in those two foams between the FF Blast Plus Eco and the regular FF Blast Plus. There is more squish to it, so it's certainly more comfortable, but it's just a little bit less springy. Like, one of the beautiful things about the Novablast 3 is that I felt like I could take this out for a recovery run as easily as I felt like I could take it out for a fartlek run or take it out for strides, something where I'm picking up the pace. It had a really great amount of pace versatility and range. I feel like we've lost a little bit, just like a fraction of a step, in terms of that top end, in terms of the speediness of the Novablast 4. It's just not as eager to go quickly as the Novablast 3 was, which I feel like makes it slightly less versatile than last year's version. And I think that's what's really, in my mind, keeping it back from being shoe of the year. So now let's talk about building out a rotation if you're going to buy the Novablast 4. Here's two other shoes. I'll give you three other shoes that I think could fit in really well. If you're running daily training miles in the Novablast 4, I think for your recovery run miles and your long, slow distance runs, I really think that the Nimbus 25 is going to be a great pairing of these two shoes. They both have the same FF Blast Plus Eco midsole foams. There's just a lot more of it, and there's a lot more plush comfort in this shoe that makes it more suitable for those more relaxed runs or those longer runs where you're going to be on your feet for just a little bit longer. And then for racing, I would normally say that the Metaspeed Sky Plus is going to be the shoe that you pair it with, and that is definitely a really great daily training and race day and workout day kind of 1-2 punch. But I'll also give you another one that I think is also going to fit really well, given the way that the Novablast 4 changed slightly over the Novablast 3. And that's going to be the Saucony Endorphin Elite. I feel like these are two shoes, not only because of the colors, there's something about these two shoes that is reminiscent about each other, especially when it comes to the way you're toeing off from the forefoot, that I feel like these two shoes would also make a really nice daily training and racing combo. All right, now let's talk about the buying guide and some of the competition that's out here for the Novablast 4. Novablast 4 is going to come out December 1st at $140. Kudos to ASICS for not raising that price over last year. Right now, I think the closest shoe to the Novablast is from New Balance, and that's going to be the 1080 version 13. There is something about both of these two foams that they are now getting to feel rather similar, which I didn't always feel like Fresh Foam X felt similar to FF Blast Plus or FF Blast Plus Eco. So with the tweaks to the foam that New Balance has implemented for the 1080 version 13, I feel like these two shoes go head to head really quite nicely. The 1080 version 13 is $165 though, so you're paying quite a bit of a premium to get to that 1080. And then the other shoe that I think competes really well is another shoe where the foam has changed substantially from last year, and that's going to be the Hoka Clifton 9. I feel like there's a airier feeling to this foam and a springiness to it that again brings it closer to the kind of experience that the Novablast has been delivering and is delivering this year. So I feel like these are two shoes that are worth considering at the same time. They even have matching Achilles flares. The Clifton 9 comes in at $145 though, so $5 more than the Novablast 4. And the last shoe though that I think we also still have to consider when thinking about the Novablast 4 though is last year's Novablast 3. This shoe still is being sold, and in fact it's on sale now, available for $110. So for people that want a little bit more pace versatility out of their shoe, this could be a really great time to pick up the last remaining pairs of the Novablast 3, and then later on in the year, you can then pick up the Novablast 4, so then you'll have two really great shoes to look forward to. And one other quick note, given the release date of this video, if you can't wait till December 1st and you happen to be in the New York area for the marathon at the New York City Marathon Expo, you can pick up this pair of shoes early at the ASICS booth, and while supplies last, you'll even get a free pair of color-matched Bandit socks. So those are my thoughts on the ASICS Novablast 4. Let me know in the comments if you have any other questions, or better yet, stop by the live stream that I do Monday through Friday over on the Kofuzi Run Club channel. I'd love to talk to you guys in the chat. That's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. Hopefully you guys are staying safe out there on your runs, and I will see you in the next one.
Yo, what's going on?